Let me tell you something that may surprise you. As you grow older, you begin to avoid people more. And what's even more surprising is that this withdrawal doesn't feel like a loss. It often feels like peace, like calm, like clarity. It's not loneliness. It's not bitterness. It's a quiet understanding that your time is now more precious than ever, and you no longer want to spend it on things or people that drain you. This shift isn't selfishness. It's self-preservation, and it has deep roots in how our minds and hearts evolve with age. You see, when you're young, you're wired to seek connection, friendships, social validation, endless conversations, group outings. These are driven by a natural developmental need. You are trying to understand the world and your place in it. Your brain is tuned to respond to social stimuli. Dopamine levels are high. You crave experiences, novelty, acceptance. But something very natural and powerful begins to happen as the decades pass. The brain changes, and with it, your emotional priorities do too. One of the most profound changes we observe is in the amygdala. This small structure deep in the brain helps regulate emotions, especially fear and stress. Research, including a pivotal study from Stanford University, has shown that as people age, the amygdala becomes less reactive to negative stimuli. That means older adults are less likely to respond strongly to conflict, drama, or negativity. When a conversation is filled with tension, or someone around them is complaining endlessly, they don't react the way they might have at 20 or 30. Instead, they choose to step back, to disengage. Not out of indifference, but out of wisdom. The body no longer wants to spend its energy there. You begin to understand that peace is more valuable than being right, that silence is often more healing than an argument. And that brings us to a second powerful shift. It's what psychologists call socio-emotional selectivity theory, proposed by Dr. Laura Carstensen. She found that as people grow older, their goals begin to shift. Younger people often focus on knowledge, growth, and exploration. Older adults, however, become more focused on emotional satisfaction and meaningful experiences. You no longer feel the pull to keep 100 relationships going. You choose the few that truly matter, those who understand you, those who don't take energy but give it. It's not about numbers anymore. It's about depth. You begin to filter your world, and it feels good. It feels right. That's why you may start saying no more often. No to gatherings that feel obligatory. No to phone calls that go in circles. No to people who always need you but are never there for you. That clarity isn't harsh, it's earned. And it brings with it a deep emotional payoff, a sense of alignment. Like your life is finally fitting the shape of who you really are. Let me tell you a story from my own practice. I once had a patient in his early 70s, a retired engineer, quiet man, brilliant. For years, he attended every neighborhood event, every extended family dinner. He was always present, always social. But after retirement, he began to pull back. Not because he was depressed, not because he was sick. Quite the opposite. He told me, "I just realized I don't want to waste my Sundays anymore." He smiled when he said it. "I want to wake up, sip my coffee slowly, sit on the porch, listen to birds. Maybe call my brother. That's enough. That's everything." There was peace in his voice, and that peace is what so many seniors describe when they begin to reduce their social circles. It's not emptiness, it's fullness, it's knowing what matters. Another reason we start to avoid people more as we age is because we grow more comfortable with ourselves. You see, in younger years, silence can feel unbearable. We surround ourselves with noise, with company, with distraction. But aging teaches you to sit with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to trust your own rhythms. And that self-assurance creates a kind of inner companionship. You no longer need a crowded room to feel validated. Your own presence becomes enough. And when you feel that, truly feel it, the need for constant external interaction fades. This has also been supported by longitudinal studies, such as the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest studies of adult life ever conducted. While it did find that relationships are crucial for long-term happiness, it also found something more nuanced. Quality, not quantity, matters most. The people who thrived into their 70s and 80s weren't the ones with the most friends. They were the ones with the most meaningful connections. One or two deep, nourishing relationships had more impact than 10 superficial ones. That is something worth remembering, because it means that letting go of the noisy crowd is not a failure. It's an evolution, a refinement, a natural and healthy step in the journey of life. As your body ages, your energy becomes more limited, not just physically, but emotionally too. Every decision you make costs something. Every conversation, every visit, every piece of news you take in, it takes something from you, and with time, you start to notice that some things cost too much. You begin to protect your energy like gold. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to please. You stop chasing people who never meet you halfway. This isn't coldness. It's maturity. It's self-respect. A fascinating study published in Psychology and Aging showed that older adults become more emotionally regulated over time. That is, they experience less emotional volatility, less reactivity. They choose calm, and to choose calm often means choosing solitude, or at least more selective company. You don't want to rehash old arguments. You don't want to sit in rooms where people compete to speak. You don't want to be in spaces that feel performative. You want authenticity, realness. You want connection that doesn't require effort, the kind where you can sit quietly together, no need for small talk, and still feel understood. This change doesn't just affect your social life. It affects your very sense of time. As we age, time speeds up. You feel the years more acutely, birthdays come quicker, seasons feel shorter, and that ticking clock teaches you one profound truth. You don't owe anyone your time. Your time is a gift, and it should be given with care. You begin to spend it like treasure. And when you do, you stop offering it to people who don't value it. You start spending it on what nourishes you. A quiet morning, a deep conversation, a walk in nature, a grandchild's laugh, a nap in the sun. These are not small things. These are the moments that make a life. Let me speak directly to those who feel guilty about this change, to those who wonder if something is wrong with them for wanting more space. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not becoming antisocial. You are becoming focused. Your soul is teaching you to return to center. You are realizing that life is not measured by how many people you please, but by how present you are in the moments that count. And sometimes presence requires solitude. It requires stepping away from the noise so you can finally hear your own voice. And perhaps one of the most healing realizations that comes with age is this: not everyone is meant to stay in your life. Some people are part of a chapter, some are part of a lesson, some are part of a memory, and that's okay. Holding on to everyone is not a sign of love. It is a sign of fear. Letting go gently with gratitude is a sign of growth. And when you do let go, you make space, not for loneliness, but for deeper connection with yourself and with the few who truly matter. So if you find yourself avoiding more people as you grow older, don't fight it. Welcome it. It means you're listening to your heart. It means you're healing. It means you're waking up to what matters most. And in that space of quiet, something beautiful begins to bloom. Peace, clarity, gratitude, a life that fits, a life that feels like home. And that, my friend, is not something to fear. That is something to cherish. How can you deepen the relationships that remain? Let me ask you something simple but powerful. When you think about the people still in your life, those who have remained through the years, through changes, through seasons, how close do you really feel to them? Not just how often you speak, not just whether you remember birthdays. I'm asking about depth, understanding, presence, because as we grow older and our circle becomes smaller, we're given a rare and beautiful opportunity. We may no longer have the energy to maintain dozens of relationships, but we can deepen the few that remain. And that, my friend, is where true emotional richness lies. As we age, the need for connection doesn't disappear. It transforms. When we're young, we tend to chase excitement, variety, and new faces. But studies such as those from the Center for Healthy Aging at Penn State show that with age comes a shift in emotional goals. We no longer seek broad social networks. We seek emotional intimacy. We want relationships that nourish us, that feel safe, that offer mutual respect and kindness. And while this shift feels natural, deepening those bonds is a conscious choice. It requires effort, but not the kind that exhausts, the kind that heals. One of the most important things you can do to deepen the relationships that remain is to be fully present. I don't mean physically present, I mean emotionally available. How often do we talk to someone while our mind is somewhere else? Thinking of what to say next, thinking of dinner, thinking of the past. But real connection begins when we stop multitasking with our hearts, when we look someone in the eye and truly listen. Active listening is one of the most powerful tools we have. A study from the University of Minnesota found that people remember only about 25% of what they hear. That means most of us are not really listening. We're preparing to respond. But if you take a moment to slow down, to breathe, to truly hear what your friend or spouse or child is saying, they feel seen. And being seen is one of the deepest forms of love. Another way to deepen the relationships that remain is by letting go of old grievances. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things for the human heart to do. We carry around so much: old misunderstandings, words spoken in frustration, times we felt abandoned or disappointed. But carrying resentment is like holding on to a burning coal. It harms you far more than the other person, and the older we get, the more we realize that time is short. Every moment spent in silent resentment is a moment stolen from peace. A study published in Psychological Science showed that people who practice forgiveness tend to have lower levels of depression and higher levels of life satisfaction. Let that sink in. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It's about choosing freedom. If someone matters enough to stay in your life, they matter enough to heal with. There is also something very powerful about vulnerability. When we're young, we often think strength means having it all together. But real strength, especially in our later years, comes from honesty, from the ability to say, "I miss you," or "I was hurt," or "I love you." When you allow yourself to speak from the heart, you give others permission to do the same. Vulnerability creates a bridge, one that is far stronger than pretending everything is fine. In fact, a study from the University of Houston found that vulnerability is strongly linked to trust and emotional connection. When we open ourselves even a little, we create space for others to meet us there. Small rituals can also create deep connection. I don't mean grand gestures. I mean the tiny things that say, "I'm thinking of you." A phone call every Sunday, a walk every Tuesday morning, a handwritten note for no reason. These moments become anchors. They create rhythm, and rhythm builds trust. When someone knows they can count on your presence, even in small ways, it deepens the roots between you. It tells them that in a world that's always changing, your love is steady. And never underestimate the power of gratitude. So many relationships drift into silence, not because of anger, but because of neglect. We forget to say thank you. We stop noticing the small kindnesses. But expressing appreciation keeps love alive. It reminds us of why we value each other in the first place. Researchers at the University of California, Davis, found that people who practice daily gratitude experience stronger relationships and higher well-being. So say it out loud. Tell your spouse, "Thank you for standing by me." Tell your friend, "You matter more to me than I say." These words don't cost much, but they give so much. As life continues, loss becomes more familiar. Friends move away, some pass on, family changes, and sometimes this can lead to a quiet fear that maybe we'll end up alone. But deepening the relationships you still have can ease that fear, because it reminds you that you're not alone. That the heart, even in its aging, can still grow, still connect, still feel joy. And let me say something that might surprise you. You don't have to fix a relationship to deepen it. Some relationships won't be what they once were, and that's okay. Deepening doesn't mean perfecting, it means accepting. Meeting someone where they are, not where they used to be. It means showing up with compassion, with grace, with a willingness to walk forward together, even if the road looks different than it did 10 or 20 years ago. So how can you deepen the relationships that remain? You do it with presence, with listening, with forgiveness, with vulnerability, with gratitude, and with time. Not rushed time, not distracted time, but honest, patient time. And when you do, something remarkable happens. The noise fades, the masks fall away, and what's left is real. What's left is connection, not the kind that flickers, but the kind that warms your soul. Because at the end of the day, we are not made of achievements. We are made of moments, shared glances, quiet laughs, long conversations on the porch. A hand held when words fall short. These are the things that matter. And you still have time to make them deeper. You still have time to choose love every single day.